All right, guys, here we are. It's Tuesday. It's our official Friday. You are going on break for Thanksgiving. So here we go. And you see this right here. It's still an equation. I understand that there's an inequality symbol there, but we're still going to look at all of your steps. So that distribute, combine like terms, remove the extra variable, abstract, multiply, divide. It's the same process. It always is and always will be, and I get it. We think too much in numbers and how the thing looks. You've got a number bar here and you've got a weird symbol in the center, so you think that you can't do it, but you can. So my very first step is distribute. Well, right here, guys, look right there. There's the distribute part right here, and this is how I would suggest that you do it. So -7 times 7 is -49. -7 times 3 is -21, and they have an n together. Now, I'm just going to bring everything else down. That -11, that -2 times n, and my inequality sign exactly the same way. Now I've created this new problem. All right, drawing my line just like I had been doing. The next step is, can I combine like terms? I cannot combine like terms on this side. I cannot combine like terms on this side. So then I skip it and I go to remove the extra variable. And which one were you going to remove, Romeo? Yeah, I'm going to remove this extra variable. If everybody sees that, if I cover them up, you can see I have -2n and -21n. So I'm going to add 2n to both sides of the equation. Nothing has changed. I get it. We've got a symbol. We've got a bar. Nothing has changed in what we're doing. And I told you that if you were not good with these doing equations in those 5 steps, you were going to suffer for the rest of the year because it comes back over and over and over again. Here's that -11 comes down. Our symbol must stay the same. Our -49 comes down, and we're going to take -21 plus 2, which is what, -19, n. Our third step, I'm sorry, we did the third step. We're doing now fourth step, because we distributed, there was no combined like terms, we skipped it, we removed the extra variable. Now what's added or subtracted? Here's the variable on this side of the equation. The -19 is attached to the n, so it's that -49. So we want to add 49 to both sides of the equation. And I'm not doing colors now because you should know how to do this step by step. I'm trying to do this so you can see how to do it on your paper and how clear I am. So I bring down that -19n, these are opposite operations. Our symbol is going to stay here. -11 plus 49 is, what'd you get, 38? 38. All right, now, technically, Romeo, we should have added 21 to both sides and we would have got a positive number, but we got a negative number here. And I left it because it's a great example. I was going to do this anyway, but since Romeo decided he wanted to take that, that's fine. It's not wrong. But now, do we see, what are we going to divide by? And divide by means number on the bottom. What are we going to divide by to get rid of this? -19. Now, there is an issue when we divide by a negative number. All right, our n comes down. When we divide by a negative number, that's the number on the bottom, not the number on the top. The number on the top can be negative. It's that number on the bottom. If it's a negative number, we must flip our sign over. Okay? And I'm going to show you why that is true. So you flip the sign over, and then you say 38 divided by -19 is -2. Now, if you look at our answer, what we had here, we had 38, right? It was a positive number. When we divided by a negative number, our answer became a negative number. So it went to the other side of the number line. And let me show you. You have a number line here, 0, and let's go negative or 5 and 10, and -5 and -10. If we start with the number 10, and we decide to divide it by 2, we're going to get 5. So it went from 10 to 5. Is it on the same side of that number line? Yes, it is. It's on the positive side. What if I were to take 5 and I were to multiply it multiply it by 2, I get 10. It goes from 5 to 10. Did it go anywhere? No. And I could do the same thing with the negative numbers. If I started with negative 10 and I divided it by 2, I would still end up with negative 5. It goes from negative 10 to negative 5. It did not cross the line. Same thing as if I took negative 5 and I divided or multiplied it, let's say, by 2, I'm going to get negative 10. It doesn't go anywhere different. So let's take a look at that, guys. What if I decided to take the 10 and look up here? This is important. This is the part you need to really pay attention to, because this is the part that tells you why you are doing this. And when you know why, you understand it better. If I take 10 and I divide it by negative 2, my answer is what? Negative 5. So I went from 10, which is right there, and went all the way across the line to the other side. If I take negative 5 and I multiply it by 2, I'm going to get, or I'm sorry, negative 2, I'm going to get 10. If I take negative 5 and I multiply by negative 2, that's that part, I get a positive 10. So it's going to go from here all the way over to here. Guys, look up there. It switches sides. Do we see that, Chris? Do we see that, Ryan? That negative 2 times, or negative 5 times a negative number, or 10 divided by a negative number, changes its sign completely, and it flips it over to the other side. So when we have an inequality sign, we have to chase that number, because the number goes from one side to the other. So we have to chase it by flipping the sign around. That is why when we were here and we divided by this negative 19, that this 38 turned into a negative number, we have to chase it. Our sign has to flip over. So now what we were doing the other day, we have, is this an open or closed circle? It's open because it doesn't have an equals. So we go to negative 2 and we put an open symbol on it. And what is facing the variable? Less or great? Less is facing the variable, so the less numbers are to the left. Some of us are still getting confused on that. Some of us are still chasing the arrow. It's what's facing the variable that counts, and that's the less side. The less numbers are to the left. Guys, look, you got a 4 and a negative 6, which has the lesser value. The negative 6, chase your number to the negative 6, okay? All right, we're gonna go a little faster on these now. Here we are, we're gonna look for distribute, because that's our first step. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20v. Negative 4 times negative 8 is plus 32, very good. Bring down everything else. Negative 7v, make sure that your sign does not turn in, and I've seen this before where they turn into equal signs. Don't do that. Now I'm just gonna draw my little line all the way down. I distribute it. Now I'm going to combine like terms, and I can over here. Notice that I brought my v with me. Some of you guys lose v's as you're going down. So be careful, and I almost turned that into a plus. So negative 20 and negative 7 is negative 27 when I add them together. And don't forget your v, bring down your plus 32. Your sign must remain the same, and bring everything else down. We're gonna get rid of the extra variable, so they cover that and that up. We see that there's negative 27 and negative 5v technically, and we're gonna do it right this time. Well, not right, we're gonna do it the easier way. We're gonna take 27, negative 27 is the lower number. So we're gonna add 27 to both sides. If you took the 5, because you went ahead of me, don't worry about it. It'll still work out. Just remember, if you go the other direction, you are going to have to flip your variable, your sign. All right, our 27 opposite operations are gone. That leaves us with 32 is less than or equal to negative 34 will come down. Negative 5 plus 27 is plus 22v. We need to get rid of what's added or subtracted to the variable. Well, the 22 is attached, so that's not it. But we do, if we cover the 22 up, we can see we have negative 34 plus that v. So we're going to add 34 to both sides of the equation. Opposite operations are gone. Our 22v comes down. Our sign is still there. No matter if we add or subtract, nothing changes until the very last step, whether we're going to flip this or not. So 32 plus 34 is 66. And we'll divide by 22. Did we divide by a negative number? Anybody? Did we divide by a negative number? No. Our sign stays the same because the bottom number is not negative. Doesn't matter about the top number. It's the bottom number. 66 divided by 22 is 3. Open or closed circle? Closed at 3. What's facing the variable? The greater side or the less side? Here's the variable. Yep, 2 dots. That's the left side. That's the greater side. So we go to the right. A lot of us having trouble with that. What's the greater side? Mess my camera up here a little bit. Flip that there. All right, look for the distribute. There it is. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. They have a V together. You put the V. Bring everything else down. And I know this line here, that was an accident. Ignore that. Combine like terms. Nothing here, V, no V. Nothing here, no V, V. Can't combine like terms anywhere. Skip it. Extra lowest, or the variable, the lowest extra variable. Negative 4 or negative 14? What's lower? Who's taking what? Which one do you want to get rid of? The negative 4V or the negative 14V? Negative 4V. All right, it's not the lowest, but we're going to do it anyway. Because that one will give us another example of how to flip the variable over, or the sign over. So they're gone. We have negative 33 is less than or equal to 7, and 14, negative 14 plus 4 is negative 10V. Do we see how that variable is a negative now? So when we get to the end, we're going to end up flipping it. That negative 10 is attached to the V, so we're looking at this 7. And since that's a plus 7, we're going to subtract 7. Now we're subtracting, that's not a negative multiplication or division, so we do not flip the sign. Do not flip the sign on that particular part. That's a plus or minus, not a dividing or multiplying. All right, we're left with 10, negative 10V there. Negative 33 minus 7 is negative 40. Now, guys, what's the final step? What do we got to divide by? We have to, not V, just negative 10. We're not getting rid of the V. If you were to take the V, you would get rid of the V here and put it over here. So we don't want that. So our negative 10s are gone. We're left with just that V. Did we divide by a negative number? Yes, we have to flip the sign. The sign gets flipped at the end, not in the middle steps, okay? Because that's where we multiply or divide is the last step. So negative 40. See, look, it started off as a negative 40, right? So if I take negative 40 and I divide it by negative 10, I come up with a positive 4. It goes from a negative number to a positive number. We have to chase it. That's why that happens. It does not happen with minus. It doesn't always happen with adding and subtracting. We don't worry about that. So open or closed circle? Closed at 4. What's facing the variable V? The less or the greater side? There's 1 dot, 2 dots. The less side, and our less numbers are to the left. All right, I wasn't going to do 3, but we're going to do 4 just for giggles. I'm going to do this one without needing to flip the variable, because if you do these right, you don't have to flip, or I'm sorry, I keep saying variable. If you do them correctly, you're not going to have to flip the sign, or greater than or less than sign. So we're going to do this part here. That's the distribute, because we look for distribute first. 8 times, and there's a 1 there. 8 times 1 is 8, and then it has a V. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48. Bring down our sign, the negative 18, the plus 2V, and draw. I don't know why I have so many V's today. That's weird. That's 3 of them. All right. Can we combine like terms? No. What is the lowest extra variable? Because we have 2 of them. We have an 8V and a 2V. What's the lowest? 2. If you ended up subtracting 8V, you are going to have to flip the variable. Or I'm sorry, I said it again. You're going to have to flip the sign. But we took the lowest extra variable, so 8 minus 2 is 6V. We have a positive, so we're not going to end up flipping that sign. And we bring everything else down. Our opposite operations obviously are gone. Get rid of what's added or subtracted to the variable. Well, v minus 48, so we're going to add 48. Opposite operations are gone. We're left with that 6 times v. Our sign stays the same. Don't turn it into an equals. And negative 18 plus 48 is what, 30? And our final step, we're going to divide by 6. Now, if we had taken the 8 and subtracted 8v from both sides, you would have had a negative 6v on this side. You would have been dividing by a negative 6, and you would have had to have flipped the sign. All right, so our opposite operations are gone. We're left with the v and 30. 30 divided by 6 is 5. Now, real quick, I want to show you, because some of you are looking at that going, well, why would you flip the sign? That doesn't make any sense, because then that would be backwards. No, it wouldn't. Because if I decided to go ahead and take negative 8v, that would be going to have negative 48 minus 18, and this would be minus 6v. I would add 18 to both sides. That would be gone. I would have negative 30 here and negative 6v. Do you see the difference? You see what happens? You see why I don't like going this route over here? Because see all these negatives? It drives me nuts. So then I would divide by negative 6 and I would flip the sign. I would have a v here. And negative 30 divided by 6, negative 6 is 5. What's facing the variable here? The greater or less? Hey, look up there. What's facing the variable? Why do you guys look away when I'm teaching? The greater is facing. What's facing the variable here? The greater. Look at the variable. What's facing the variable? Look at, if that whole, do you guys remember that when you were in grade school? It's like an alligator with all the teeth that wants to eat the bigger side. Well, what's eating the variable? The bigger side. What's eating the variable on this one? The bigger side. So it's still the same. It's the same equation. Yep. See that? The lower is the 5. The lower is the 5. So we're open here on 5. Obviously, there's no equals. And since what's facing the variable is the greater side on both of them, we go to the greater numbers, which is to the right. All right, I just wanted to show you that because some people get confused on that, when to flip the variable, when not to flip the variable. So you can see clearly that we divided this negative 6's on the bottom, we have to flip. Here is positive 6's on the bottom, we keep it the same. No matter which direction you choose to go, you're going to come out. This is more difficult because a lot of people drop that negative somewhere along the line. So, all right, have a good Thanksgiving. Be safe.